All right, MAGA continues to blow apart at the seams. The bully is a lame duck, and Trump loyalist Marjorie Taylor Greene goes scorched earth. She's not crawling away quietly. And if anybody knows her, they would have known that already. But, she has a gift that Trump has, and that's the gift of insults. That's the gift of getting under somebody's skin. And the reason Trump's insults have always been so effective in his campaigns is because they've always had an element of truth to them. And that's the most effective kind of insult. But she is doing the exact same thing to him that he did to all of his opponents in all of his campaigns. Her insults have a lot of truth in them, and they dig right at his biggest insecurities. And that's why he can't refute them. That's why he goes after her with insults. I'm telling you, these people, they if I were advising him, I would say stay away from her. You do not want to tangle with her. And he shouldn't want to at all because she's not afraid of him. She's not afraid at all if you haven't noticed. And why some of the men can't get a little spine like that too, I don't know. Because they're weak and they're idiots and they're okay, they're not I won't call them idiots. I will just say they are so ambitious. They want that job so bad. They want power. They're power hungry. That's what they are. And they'll do anything to be near and around and in power. That's what it is. And as long as they see Trump's, poll numbers looking good, they're going to back him to the hilt. And now that they've seen the poll numbers go down for a couple of months, and they've seen the town halls around the country for this whole entire year, I think they're starting to get a little weak in the knees. But they really need to keep that going and build that up. But anyway, she is going after him, and he ain't gonna like it. And she ain't going back to Dalton, Georgia, or whatever town in North Georgia she's from. And I predict that she is going to run for president in 2028. I just feel it coming. I think she has what it takes to beat the Republicans in the primaries. I think she could beat any one of them. Marco Rubio, she would smear him. What's the other guy's name? Yeah, JD Vance. Uh, he can't hold a candle to her. I'm telling you, he would be like crawling under the carpet after a debate with her. That's what's so funny about it. But I think she could run. She could run as an independent. I I'm going to show you in a minute some of the things she's saying. She's actually trying to appeal. You're not going to believe this. She's trying to appeal to the left now. She's trying to appeal to the left. And she's trying to keep as many MAGA people on board as possible. She's going to have to keep them all on board because she ain't going to win anything with the left. She may peel a few people off here and there. But I'm telling you, there are these libertarians on both sides who, both kind of agree. And she seems to be going after that segment of the voter market, if I could put it that way. But yeah, she seems to be going after that segment, and it's gonna be wild if she runs. The thing, if she runs as an independent, I think that would be great because she would peel far more voters away from whoever the Republican candidate is than she will from the Democrats. But if she runs as a Republican, that's great too because I don't see with her record, I don't see how she could get very far. And with her record of supporting Trump all those years, even though she turned against him in the end, it's not going to help her. It's not going to help her at all. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I am enjoying watching her trounce Trump. Check this out. This is what Trump said in North Carolina yesterday at his so-called rally, where he was so asleep. Like I've been reluctant to say anything about him being drowsy Don because, he kind of, I mean, I see him wake up and he's okay. Like I've seen him nod off and all that, but I would nod off too in half those meetings. So I was looking for something that's really bad. This is really bad. The crowd's not behind him. They're not cheering him. They're not even laughing at what he's, you know, pulling out of the bag, thinking they're jokes. Jokes that used to work actually are falling flat, and he's 10 points underwater in North Carolina. So he's lost the thing there. He's lost his mojo. The enthusiasm is gone. But here's what he had to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then I'm going to read you her responses to him. They're pretty funny and enlightening as well, as far as what I think her goals are and what I think her plans for the future are.
Greene turns to brown under stress. So I call it Trader Brown, which I don't like doing because 2 words is too much. 2 out of 3. We're changing to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm going Marjorie Trader Brown, so I have to trade. And a lot of people don't understand 2 words is too much to change.
Look, he's just blabbing on. Like, this is such nonsense what he's saying. It's almost it's even hard to watch for me. And I don't like the guy. I like him to look bad. But this is hard to watch for me even.
I actually like Marjorie Taylor Brown better, but everyone says Marjorie Trader Greene is good, but they're all good. But what the hell happened to her? She was
Okay, that's normally a big punchline. What the hell happened to her? And that usually gets the crowd laughing. They were almost dead silent here.
must have been a stone cold liberal. She's on CNN now all the time. Can you believe it?
So he digs into his bag of tricks, his old bag of tricks, for the old CNN joke. Oh, she's on CNN. That would normally get these MAGA crowds screaming and yelling and jumping up and down in their seats. And nothing. You could hear a pin drop in here.
And it was only because I couldn't call her back. You know, I have 218, 19 that changes, but we have 200 and some odd congressmen and women. I have 53 senators. I have 212 countries. I've got a family. It's nice to talk to my family, too. You can't call a president every single day, and then when the president doesn't call you back, she goes around saying, he doesn't call me back. I said, Marjorie, I can't call you back. I got 2.
I mean, do you hear how weak his voice is? When he used to do insults like this, his voice was powerful and it really came across and got the crowd cheering. And it's just all falling flat. This is falling totally flat.
I think, Marjorie, I just can't call you back. I'm sorry. And I wouldn't call her back. And she goes onto a rant. He won't call me back anymore. Sorry about that. You know, you can only go so far. Yeah, once a month, once every week or 2 weeks, but you can't, highly neurotic. Her, not me, but I'm neurotic too. I think I'm.
That is not a good thing to say to an angry woman who's already angry with you. That's not a good thing to say.
Probably very neurotic too. I always say controlled neuroses is good. Being neurotic, no good, but if it's controlled, that's okay. It gives you some energy. But what the hell happened to Marjorie Trader Greene? It's unbelievable. But she dropped out because I wasn't going to endorse her, and the person I would have endorsed was going to kill her in the polls.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's not what the newspapers in North Georgia are saying. I read an article, I think it was in the Dalton paper, and I don't have it. I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. But they were basically saying that a Republican leader in that community, in her district, was saying she's now afraid that a Democrat's going to win the next election. Brian Kemp is supposed to choose a date for the next election, and then they'll have an election, and apparently some Democrats are going to run. And she's afraid that the Democrat might win because Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said, is so popular there that if she pulls away from MAGA, the people are more loyal to her than they are to MAGA. So she kind of has this cult-like personality too. I think she could really draw a strong and loyal following. And we'll see what happens. If the Democrat wins there, that means she's really, able to draw a very loyal following. Now, let's look at her response. This is what she wrote last night, and then there was one that she wrote today. She couldn't, she's not one to, she's like Trump. She's going to keep going at it. But I have to say, she at least in her way, from her point of view, makes more sense, and she's a little more articulate than Trump is. She says, I think the president is having some confusion because my voting record and donation history is actually more conservative and America first than he is. And I voted with him 98% of the time, but wouldn't take my name off the Epstein discharge petition. She wrote of instead of off. What is up with these people? Everything's so casual now. Have some dignity, man. You're in one of the highest offices of the land. At least check your spelling or get an aide to check it. Don't you have aides? Don't you have an editor or a writer on staff? You're a congresswoman. You could at least get the typos out of here, right? Anyway, my pet peeve. And then she goes in for another insult. All of these, and notice how all of these really attack his insecurities. They attack the areas where he's most insecure. She goes, but maybe his memory isn't so good. I didn't call him much, but I should have called him more. I would have told him, here we go in for another insult. I would have told him he promised no more foreign wars and reminded him, the foreign leader that wants him to bomb so much, Netanyahu, was the first foreign leader to congratulate Joe Biden after the 2020 election. She's just going in with a knife on every single turn. All right, so I underlined the insults, the areas where she's attacking him, where he's weak and where he feels insecure. More conservative. She's saying she's more conservative than he is, and that's something. If he tries to refute it, she can go in and give example after example where he's not that conservative. So he's going to lose that argument. Then she said she voted with him a lot, but she wouldn't take her name off the Epstein, thinking deposition, the Epstein discharge petition. Okay, so that's where she attacked him really big time, was pushing that discharge petition to release the Epstein files. So he doesn't like that. He's feeling insecure about that. But maybe his memory. All right, he's always talking about, I took the IQ test and I did better than anybody's ever done in history. This cognitive exam. So we know he feels insecure about his mental abilities because surely all his life people have let him know he's not that bright. Maybe they let him know in subtle ways, but they let him know. I think he obviously figured that out, because what do insecure people talk about the most? They talk about the things they're insecure about. And they talk about, they brag about those things, that they're the greatest at those things. So when he brags about something that he's great at, that's an area where he's very insecure. So memory, okay? And then she said, if I had called him more, I would have told him that he promised no more foreign wars. That's like at the heart of this so-called America First movement. No foreign wars. No dime gets spent in another country on behalf of another country. So she's saying, look, you're spending all this money for Israel's sake, for Netanyahu. That's another weak point. He knows he's vulnerable there and can be attacked there. And then she goes, you're doing all this bombing for Netanyahu, who was the first foreign leader to congratulate Joe Biden. So what she's saying here is Netanyahu is really a liberal. He's a liberal lover. He loved Joe Biden. And you're bombing for him. You're doing whatever he wants. What's wrong with you? You're not America first. These things are going to sting. With a large portion of the MAGA base, these things are going to sting. They're going to weaken Trump with a lot of those people. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They're on board with what she's saying. She's really coming from where they come from. Okay, that was last night. Then this morning, she couldn't let it go. And she writes this. This is pretty scathing. She says, breaking the chains from the bully is freeing. Now, I think there are a lot of women who this will resonate with them. So breaking the chains from the bully, okay? It's also taking hold of real power over oneself and the future. For me, I don't know what this has to do with anything, but she says, for me, I give full authority to Jesus, which I will have to say, he already has authority. You don't need to give it to him. You don't have the power to give him any authority. He has the authority on his own. But she says, I will fight like a lioness for my children's generation and their children. Okay? Something, everybody can relate to. The rising grassroots movement, totally outside political control, is the unstoppable collision. Listen to this. This is very strange when I first read this. But she's saying there's a rising grassroots movement that's totally outside of political control, and it's the unstoppable collision of the right and, get this, the left. She's talking about a collision of the right and the left coming together who will form a group that will fight with fury for America and our future and our children's future and our grandchildren's future. Okay. She seems to be saying that she's going to start working with the left, or she wants to start a movement that combines elements of the right with elements of the left. It's a little confusing, right? So we're going to have, I want to hear more about this. I want to see where she goes with this. But this all seems to me like pointing to her potentially planning or thinking in her mind that she might run in 2028. Okay. Then she says they've divided us for far too long and it's destroyed too much. I think she's talking about, the two sides being one side the right, one side the left. It's divided us for far too long and it's destroyed too much. And she seems to be saying, let's come together, both sides, and fight for our children, fight for our country. That's what she seems to be saying. She says, because then she says, I refuse to be divided any longer. I refuse to hate my fellow Americans. I love my fellow Americans and I love my country. The old guard is dying. The bully is becoming a lame duck, and real America is rising. The knives are out because they are seeing his lame duck status and they're seeing his low, low, low ratings in the polls. And they're seeing the shellacking the Republicans took in November and in December in Miami. And they see these things. The only reason they hung on to him was to, well, I don't think, I think she was a real believer. I don't think she hung on to get votes. But I think a lot of these Republicans who had been there before grabbed onto Trump because they saw if we don't act like we support him, we're going to be primaried and we'll lose because only people he supports can win today because of the Republican voters or the MAGA voters, whatever you want to call them. But anyway, the old guard is dying. The bully is becoming a lame duck and real America is rising. And I think for her as a woman to call him a bully resonates. It's going to resonate with a ton of women. It resonates with a lot of men. But if a man called him a bully, the man would just sound weak. Oh, he's scared of the bully, right? But for a woman to call him a bully, that's a whole different ballgame. That's something she can do and get away with it and will resonate in a way that it wouldn't resonate, I don't think, coming from a man. Anyway, the knives are out. MAGA's coming down. Yay. Let's bring it down. Let's do everything we can to help it come down faster. But I mean, this is all good if you ask me. Let them fight it out. I always said they're going to eat their own because they're just so, there's always this purity test and no one's ever pure enough. So this is what's happening. Let us start with her and let's hope it spreads. All right. I'm Jonathan Burton. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, click subscribe. I'd love to have you on board and I'll talk to you soon.